Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Bricks King podcast, where I'm going to bend your ear about Lego, review those amazing bricks and plastic, and discuss what is new and up and coming around the Lego world. I'm your Minifigure host, Matt. Let's build on it. Welcome in, everybody. How are we doing today? Got another interview episode from Brick World Chicago for you. This one is really interesting, and I say that for a number of reasons. Joseph is a very well-spoken dude, and he is also a very smart dude, but funny in the same right. And it was a blast to spend, I think it was like 30 minutes with him. And it started off the interview with this weird, interaction with someone that had dropped some electronic device that they had in their hand, and they were talking to us, and we were trying to conduct this interview, and it was kind of funny. So I'm going to put that out here in a few weeks in kind of like a compilation, a best of compilation from Chicago Brick World. But I'm not having it in this show because there is some adult language that was used from the individual that dropped their device and stuff like that. But without further ado, here we go. Everybody, this is Joseph. Joseph Zawada is here joining me. And Joseph, you've got a long history with being all over the internet, and now you're a Charm City Lug president? Ambassador. Yeah. Okay. So, Joseph, I'm glad to have you here. So you're the ambassador for Charm City Lug. You've done some stuff with BTB? Beyond the Brick before?
Yep.
So you're here. You've got really, really cool stuff.
Thank you.
So let's talk about what you got nominated. You had a vignette that was nominated?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So the mock that was nominated in the vignette category is called Afer the Gilded Leviathan. It was built for a contest last year called Brickscalibur, which this was the inaugural contest.
Okay.
For that first year they did it. And those of you who haven't been to Brick World, it's different from other LEGO conventions in that you display by person, not by theme, which is at least a novel concept from my experience.
Yeah, sure.
So to make things easier on the judges, when you submit a mock and you register it, you put down what category you feel is most applicable for your mock's category and award.
Okay.
Not to say that you think that it's going to deserve a award,
right,
but it's just
yeah.
for the sake of categorizing things and seeing what kind of trends are popular. So I put mine in Sea Vessel because it's a sea serpent. It's like this red sea serpent with gold and chains all over it, attacking this fishing ship. And so I nominated it I registered it under Sea Vessel, but I guess when they were looking at all the other sea vessels in question, they took pity on me because we have an 8-foot-long aircraft carrier. We have
a cruise ship.
Yeah, we have a cruise ship. We have a Titanic. We have the whole gambit.
Yeah.
And my 32 by 32 base plate mock was not going to stand up to these behemoths, so they took pity on me and put me in the vignette display.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes.
It's a big deal to get nominated, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is my first time at Brick World, and so it's really exciting to come in with a bang.
Well, absolutely coming in with a bang. I mean, you're talking. So I talked with one of the representatives yesterday, and they started out in 2007 with 15,000 square feet of space, and he told me yesterday they have over 15,000 square feet of tabletop space.
Wow!
So
that's incredible.
And hey, you're part of that. You got a nomination, so that's really cool. But and your designs are incredible.
Thank you.
How long did that take to make?
That I had to build that in about 2 weeks. I didn't have much time. It was under the time constraints of that contest that I started very, very late on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
procrastination.
Yeah, I didn't hear about it for a while, and
then
there was 5 different categories, and that one I did not know what I was going to deal with.
Sure.
So I pushed it until the end and I procrastinated with the little time I had left. Not the best mix of things,
but it works.
I made it work.
You made it work. It looks really good. Where did the idea come about for it?
So the category for the contest was, I think it was like Beast Slayer.
Okay.
Or like Monstrous Encounter. That's what it was called.
All right.
And you had to build minifigures battling some sort of brick-built creature. And I've long had this desire to build. It's a boss from a game. Its name is Fortitudo from the game Bayonetta. I tried to describe what it looks like, but you really should just look it up online because my description is accurate, but sounds like I'm lying. So it's a two-headed dragon, one red, one blue, and then they converge at a body that is a human face flipped upside down with arms and legs attached to it. So its body is its actual head, and then its two dragon heads are just like snapping mouth things. And I got the heads done, I got the dragon heads done, and then I got the human head done. And they did not match together, and I ran out of time, and I was like, well, I'm cutting out 2 of the 3, and I'm just going to do a sea serpent.
A sea serpent worked, though.
Yeah, I was like, I'm a dragon with a long neck, so I'm just going to make the neck longer and shove half of it underwater.
There you go. Half of it's underwater. You have to use your imagination.
Yeah, it's there, trust me.
So, all right, that's a really neat build. The one that captured my attention, and I didn't even realize it was yours until April had said something to me, your... refresh me of the name of it.
Black and white?
Yeah.
Oh, Antakamaki.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and say that. But it blew me away because it's it kind of falls under like a mosaic, but it's like a 3D. There's so much depth to it. Portrait, I guess, maybe it falls under better.
Yeah, I didn't know what to call it either. I was like, I feel like in terms of Lego themes, it would fall under mosaic.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, it's not
but
actually
it's not really
a mosaic.
Yeah.
So I think I mentioned that once, and someone told me that it's relief art.
Okay.
Which is that 3D where there's different layers that create an image.
Okay.
I think true relief art only has one color, and you rely purely on shadow to make differences. My mock doesn't have that. It just has black and white mixed in. But it was a very experimental mock for me. But it has become one of my favorites that I've ever done. It's
gorgeous.
Thank you.
I being a teacher, I sent it to the art teacher that works in my school yesterday, and she's like, "I'm blown away." I said, "This is plastic. This is made out of Lego." And she's like, "That's incredible."
Thank you.
Yeah, it was really, really neat. So where did the inspiration? Was it something else? It was another contest that came about, and you're like, "I got to create something." Or
so a lot of my build methodology is. I see things in the world that I find beautiful and that make me happy, and then I want to elicit that reaction over and over. Sometimes it works well, but I want to have that in front of me all the time. So I want to create a physical manifestation of something that makes me happy, and which turns into, because I love video games, a lot of my mocks are inspired by video games that I enjoy. So Antakamaki is a character in a video game called Persona 5.
Okay.
And beyond just being a fabulous game, it got a lot of attention for its like user interface design, its really flashy graphics, and all the characters have these portraits, and that's what that model is modeled after. It's a black and white portrait that utilizes, pop art elements to make a really cool piece of art. So
Okay.
I recreated that as faithfully as I could in Lego.
I wouldn't know any different, but it looks like somebody painted it.
Thank you.
Is what it looks like, and what I tried to get pictures of it to show, like, to see the different levels of depth to it, because you look at it from the front and you can see the depth, but just taking a picture, you really can't appreciate it. So
the face alone, I think, is probably about 2 to 3 inches thick.
Okay.
And a lot of that is the eye. The eye itself is like really bulky to make it work, because it's made out of a bunch of clips and like horn pieces and like dinosaur tails to kind of make all those shapes. And then behind all the layers of like the skin, the hair, the nose, the teeth, the mouth, Then there is where the hair highlights are, there's like a black and white polka dot pattern. And then that is another few inches. So it's about 6 inches of mock that portrays itself as a 2D image.
Okay.
So
it was... You did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
I'm overly impressed with it. How long did it take you, how long did it take you? How many kind of iterations did you go through? You're like, you know what? I'm not happy with this. I want to change this. You know.
So I started out. If I'm comfortable, if I have an idea and it's something that I've built relatively something similar to, I'll just start it from scratch and see what I can do. That mock, I'd never built anything like it. I was like, I don't even have the parts to build this.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't build in white, so I don't have an endless supply of white brick. So I started it in studio, and I got the general shapes down. I tried to build it as accurately as I could, but in the end, I got a little bit frustrated. She kind of looked like kind of deformed. She was kind of like, she looked like she had some sort of like allergic reaction and was like really puffy in the cheeks, or like she had her wisdom teeth removed or something. She wasn't looking great. But so I designed it in studio, had all the parts shipped, and then I took a lot of time refining what I had made. I actually have it documented. I took like pictures as I was going along of all the different stages. So some of like the highlights of that were like the original studio file where she looks kind of deformed. And then I like got her cheeks right. I had a lot of issues with one of the eyes because she's looking at 3/4 on a 2D image. So it was difficult to do. And one of her eyes was way too big. And then I was trying to build her teeth, and I was sending it to my friends. I was like, hey, what do you guys think? And one of the things that I got a lot of is she has rat teeth. Like,
I was waiting for this.
So like her teeth, like she has like a rodent mouth. They're like, you need to fix her teeth. Like, and that was so. Once I got that fixed, I think the teeth were. It was a pretty simple fix. Yeah. But once it was fixed, it all came together.
And that's one of the things I don't think most people realize, how difficult it is to make teeth, a mouth, and make it look like a human or character mouth in that sense without rat teeth.
So replicating human likeness is difficult because, you know, we know what a human face looks like. We know that human faces look vastly, like there's tons of different faces, but they all look like human faces. So when something doesn't look like, they say that like beauty's in the millimeters and faces are in the millimeters. And once you go past that, it gets to like uncanny valley, Polar Express weirdness. And you can be like, that looks like a human, but there's something wrong with it. And I was in that point for a little while. I reached out to a friend of mine who is a professional character artist, and I was like, hey, can you take a look at this and see like what's going on like with the perspectives? And he was like, it looks really good. Why is her nose 3 inches off the center of her head? And I was like, no, it's not. And I was like, oh, it is. Her nose is fully like on her cheek.
You're like, I need to fix this.
And I was like, which was sucked because it was all built in, so I had to like move so much stuff over. It was such a hassle, but I mean, it worked out. Sometimes making those small changes, they take so much work, but they really make the mock so much better.
They
it's
do.
Really worth it. It's like the 2 hours of time is more.
It's well worth it.
It's well worth it because then you're going to look at that mock and you're always going to be like, I was too lazy to change that.
Yeah.
So
is that something you're going to take to other shows? Are you planning on going to other shows in the future?
Yeah, so my modus operandi is I will take a mock to like a series of shows. I'll never repeat a mock at the same show unless I've changed it in some capacity or it becomes part of a collection of mocks.
Sure.
So this mock will be appearing at Brick Fair, Virginia, Brick Fair, Philadelphia. It'll be at those. And then I plan on building a companion piece to it. So then once the companion piece is done, it will continue and I will display them together. And then some people are telling me to do 3. I don't know if I'm going to do 3. 3? One of them's a cat.
I think you should. I think you can.
The original plan was 9.
Okay, 3 is better than 9.
The original plan was 9, and I was like, after one, I think after two, it'll have lost its luster with me and
Yeah.
everyone else. Like, okay, Joe, we've seen this.
Yeah.
We know that you can do this. I think 9 is overkill. So
Yeah.
I think 3 might be the magic number here. A boy, a girl, and a cat.
A boy, girl, and a cat. Why not?
Yeah.
So let's talk about Charm City Lug,
Yeah.
because you're the ambassador. And when I saw your face pop up in the ambassador network online, I was like, what the?
Yep.
I had no idea, You just see these things happen. It's like finding out Boone went to Denmark.
Yep. Congratulations, Boone.
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard through the grapevine. I was like, not shocked at all. But so talk to me about Charm City Lug. How can people find it? What it is? Where it is?
Yeah. So Charm City Lug is based out of Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore, Maryland is nicknamed Charm City. I guess those of you who don't know, Lug is a Lego user group, which is just a group of Lego hobbyists. We are an R-Lug, a registered Lego user group, which means that we have a formal relationship with the Lego group.
Yep.
It's a symbiotic relationship where they provide us support in a variety of senses, and in return, we make public appearances at events, interact with the public to kind of show how great of a product Lego is, and how it's applicable to all ages. It can be used as a toy, an education tool. They're trying to, it's a lifestyle tool,
Therapy tool.
the whole thing. So that's kind of where we come into play. So the ambassador's role is to serve as the point of contact between Lego and the members of the club. So Charm City Lug, we have about 50 average members. We meet once a month in the Ellicott Branch Library. That's where we're at. If you are in the Baltimore area, or even further than that, I don't live in the Baltimore area. I just make the
You
drive.
commute.
I commute in because I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
We have members in Northern Virginia.
Okay.
Our scope has grown quite a bit, but we have a Facebook page where you can get onto our email list, and we are also building a website because that is a new requirement for us. We need to build a website.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to have it. So for right now, I mean, can people find you on social media? You yourself, the Lug?
Yeah. So for the Lug, it is Charm City Lug on Instagram, on Facebook. Me personally, on all my social medias, I go under Faron Mock, FARON _MOC.
Awesome. Well, you've got good stuff. Hopefully you've taken pictures, because anybody that's hearing it can go. I'll put up the pictures that I have as well.
Yeah.
But so with Charm City Lug, every lug is different. Some people say, you have to give us a kidney to join the lug. No, totally kidding. But some of them, it's like, just show up to a meeting, show up to this, that, and the other. What is a requirement for somebody that might be interested in saying, I want to be officially a part of this group of awesome people?
So how Charm City Lug operates, I'd say that we are a pretty lax group when it comes to involvement. We are an AFL only lug. You have to be 18 to be an active member. That's kind of the one major stipulation. I would say lots of people join lugs. There are perks to being a member of a lug. That is just a fact. And lots of people will join with the desire to get those perks, and then they'll go into the woodworks and they'll disappear.
Absolutely. Yep.
And for the sake of fairness and also the protection of the lugs, because Lego doesn't like to see that either.
Yeah.
And we want to stay good with them. If you do want to be a member of a lug, or Charm City Lug, our meetings are open to the public, pending being 18 or older. But to get those perks, we do have a requirement of either 4 meeting attendance, so you attend 4 meetings each year, or 2 meetings and 1 public-facing event.
Okay.
So that is our requirement, and that's to get things like Lug Bowl.
Well,
that kind of stuff.
it's important because, like you said, I mean, even the lug, DFW lug that I'm in out of Dallas, same thing happens where you have people that show up once a year or twice a year
at very opportune
times, and then they don't go to a show, they don't show up to any other meetings, don't have any other business and stuff like that. So it's good to see that, because we have something similar to that.
Yeah.
But
and the purpose is never to gatekeep the hobby. It is really because we are at it sounds rough, but it's a symbiotic relationship with
Yes.
Lego, and we do not want to take advantage of a company that is throwing us a major bone here. So,
Well, there's expectations on both sides. I mean, a lug has an expectation of, things that they want to accomplish or whatever, but Lego is looking at it like, if we're going to provide you with this platform with support and such, the different manners of support that you can go through, we want to see that you're using it and that your community is using it. So, like you said, a few meetings throughout the year or public exhibition, it's not too much to ask. I know everybody's got wild, crazy schedules sometimes, but, I think 12-month calendar, Do you guys have any shows that are coming to the area where it's going to be like your home show? I know Brickfest Live is going to be in Philly in October. That's not too far, but...
So we always have a large display at Brickfair, Virginia.
Yeah,
we
I
are
guess so.
trying to, ascertain member interest in, Brickfest Philadelphia and Brickfair Philly. Beyond that, we're trying to increase our number of independent Charm City Lug events that are, we are the sole Lego presence.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we have, we've begun doing an annual event in Reston, Virginia, called Bricks by the Lake, which is it's in September this year, September, October, somewhere in that timeline. And then, a few weeks ago, we did an event at Anne Marie Sculpture Garden in Solomons, Maryland, which was very, very cool. It was they have their annual fairy festival, their spring fairy festival, to celebrate spring. So we contributed to that. So we have all the details are found on our LAN page. If you look up Charm City Lug LAN Lego Ambassador Network, it'll populate with our public-facing profile, where you can see a calendar of all of our events.
Sure.
Our Facebook page will have information about that as well, and our upcoming website will have a calendar section where you can see where our members will be displayed.
Awesome.
at.
Some of those, like you talk about local events. One of my favorite events that our lug does down in that region where I'm at is in the town of Killeen. It's a tiny little military town, and it's so cool because you may not get builds as intricate as some of these here, but you get kids, you get teens, you get adults, all kinds of different themes and stuff like that, and you get really. It's just different. It's more of a down-to-earth type vibe, and it's nice when you have those local shows because you just connect differently with the people in your region.
Yeah, I'd say every kind of display has an intrinsic purpose.
Yeah.
And I think to compare them is not always fair. So you have like these
sure.
big events like one Brick World Chicago,
Right.
Your Brick Fest, your Brick Cascades. They are big, massive exhibitions with, a dozen or so lugs being represented.
Yeah, absolutely.
Massive amount of public attendance. So it's really about putting on just a massive show-stopping, like bam, 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 one incredible mock after another. And then you have these, localized events that maybe have one or two lugs that are more about interfacing directly and more personally with the public, relaying, a more personal experience to these people.
Well, that's when you get the most building, like the brick pits and stuff like that. Just so many people out there, and let's be honest. At the end of the day, it still is a toy, and it's nothing better to see a kid jumping in and really creating something fascinating. So, Charm City Lug aside, you guys know where to find it. Let's talk about your Lego journey.
Sure.
That's always the good one. I always love hearing it. So everybody, starts Lego somewhere, maybe as an adult, whatever, or a young child or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they have their own journey. Sometimes they go through a dark age. How did your Lego journey start? Did you have a specific set that it started with?
So my first sets were actually, my mother was a huge fan of Lego when she was growing up. So a lot of my first sets were her sets as a child. So I was born in the 90s, but like all of my Lego was from the 70s, so they didn't have arms. They were still like they were still like fused in. They didn't have like fully formed legs. They didn't have faces. They were just kind of like ambient blob people.
Yes.
And though they're very simplified designs, they do hold a very dear place in my heart. So I started playing with those, and then growing up, I loved the castle themes as well as the adventures with Johnny Thunder.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I always loved like cultural influences and historical influences. So those were the two themes that really spoke to me. I had like a bit of a dark ages. It wasn't anything extreme. I still kept all of my Lego. I still tinkered around with it, but it definitely dipped. I think my introduction back into the T-ful and then A-ful side of things is a little bit novel.
Okay.
Like I mentioned, when I see something that elicits an emotional response, I'm like, I want to have it. I want to keep it with me. I'm a little bit of like a Smaug in that way.
Okay.
I want to keep my treasure hoard. And I saw another video game, Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. I loved the castle design. I was like, this is so beautiful. I had still a passing interest in Lego, and I saw a builder who built these beautiful medieval landscapes, and I had reached out to see if he was willing to build the model for me.
Okay.
And I think I was like 15 at the time, and I wrote him and several other builders, and none of them responded to me because my email was like, hi, I'm Joe. I want you to build me this. I want it like 60. I said like I want it like this big. So I think it turned out to be like 64 square feet. I have $500, which is never going to happen.
Of course not.
It's not going to happen. So they didn't even respond to me. And now I'm friends with some of them. And I'm like, I wrote you years ago and you didn't even respond. And they're like, that's not like me. I'm like, well, if you remember the email, you would have put it in the recycling bin too.
Absolutely.
And then I finally reached out to one builder after my budget was a little bit higher, named Sean Mayo, who went by Searcon at the time. This is in like 2012, 2013. And he lived relatively close to me, so I was like, shipping won't be a big deal. And he was like, well, rather than you commissioning to build this massive castle, would you be interested in building it with me? Those of you who don't know, Sean Mayo is an incredibly talented builder. He's kind of dipped out of the community a bit, but to work on like other like long-term Lego projects. Mm-hmm. But during that era, he was a superstar in the building community, and to be able to function as an apprentice under him was an incredible opportunity. And I went to his home like weekend after weekend to build this beautiful castle that we ended up creating. And then in the end, when he had ended up moving out, he had moved to the other side of the country, and I had like my little toolkit of knowledge that I had garnered, and then I was able to build the rest of this massive castle. And even today, a lot of the things that I learned from him, I still utilize. Techniques, methodologies, thought process behind design, those kind of things.
That's incredible. I mean, it started out, you're a 15-year-old kid, and you're like, hey, I want this. This is how much I have. But it's really cool to have that relationship and see how things, continue on. And that's one of the things coming to a show, whether it be a big show or a small show, you see the same faces kind of over and over again, and it's a family kind of thing. It's a very close-knit community. Even though it's a big community, it's pretty closely knit.
Yeah, it's a large group of folks, but then you definitely have those people who are in there for, the long haul, and, you see them year after year, decade after decade.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you coming on and chatting about your stuff. Guys, make sure you check the social medias. Joseph's mine. You can see other stuff that he's got going on, and then I'll have the pictures of his designs that are up there, especially the one that's been nominated. Big superstar at the show, man. What is, before we get out here, what are you gonna do if you end up winning? I mean, are you just gonna you gonna scream in happiness? Are you gonna cry in happiness?
I will probably accuse someone of collusion because I don't think I'm gonna win. I don't think I'm gonna win. I'm going up against some incredible MOCs. So if I win, the election was rigged.
You never know.
Something in the milk ain't clean.
Well, with that, guys, this has been Joseph Zawada from Charm City Lug, from his awesome MOCs. So again, Joseph, thanks for coming on, and hopefully get to see you again in a show, maybe up in Philly here in a couple months from now.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. That was one of my favorite interviews I think I have ever done on location with anybody. And I hate to say that because I have talked to a lot of cool people, but there's just something different about what Joseph brings. There's a different feel, a different aura that is around him. And he's just a funny guy to be around. And it may not have completely come out here, but his zingers are just perfect. So make sure you do go follow him at FARON_MOC, Farron Mock, on all his socials and stuff. He's a good dude. And hopefully we'll get an opportunity to do some projects and stuff with him in the future. Because again, when you find somebody like this, and I've talked to so many of you and others, and it's just one of those things that I just want to keep doing this. This gives me so much energy. So that's going to wrap up this episode. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for the next one. Until we meet again, I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it.